and welcome to the first ever review on Short Shift. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Krish.
And this is basically Audi's luxury super performance sedan. And it basically competes with the likes of BMW's M5, as well as Mercedes' E63S. And from what I've experienced, the M5 is a great performer at being a sporty vehicle, and the Mercedes is a bit more of a luxury vehicle. This is right in between. This is perfect as a luxury car and as a sports car. So let's talk about something such as figures. This car has a 4.0 liter twin turbo V8, makes about 591 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. It's not, well, let's just say the power numbers are not the best. However, simply the fact that it launches way quicker than the two cars, which gives you as a driver that quick feeling immediately compared to like the M5 and the E63S. And in terms of ride comfort, if for example you're in comfort mode, comfort setting of the suspension is really comfy. You can barely feel any potholes, any sort of manhole cover. It's just really nice. It's really smooth. It's like you're floating, which is what I actually appreciate quite a lot with this segment of vehicle. It's supposed to be both a comfort and performance kind of car. And this actually succeeds in both of them. And well, let's talk about as a driver. Well, you're greeted first off with this amazing interior. The center console with the infotainment screen faces towards you, which makes it look more cockpitish, makes it feel more driver-oriented, and essentially makes it more like a driver's car. And along with this Alcantara steering wheel, which I truly wouldn't get, it feels nice until it wears out in a few months or a year. But what we can't fault is the Virtual Cockpit Plus we have here. The gauges can change depending on what you like. For example, you can have the larger tachometer, so you can definitely see your revs more in detail, as well as have a large map and a G meter too, which I think are pretty essential things for such a vehicle. Of course, the carbon fiber trim is very nice. It's real, by the way. This is real carbon fiber trim. And let's not forget about the main point about buying a car like this. It's the practicality that comes with the performance as well. The trunk is rather big. That's a good thing. The seating position is nice as well. It's not too low. My legs can stretch out quite a lot. Steering wheel position, great as well. Visibility is also pretty good. The rear ones, the rear shelf kind of slopes up a bit, but it's still not the worst. It's still pretty much fine in my books. And then the interior cabin noise. Road noise, I would say it's basically a minimum. It's not loud, it's fine. Tire noise, don't even hear it. Engine is fine in comfort. You don't really hear it until, of course, you step down the pedal, or you're simply in dynamic mode or in any of the RS modes. That's when you're actually going to hear the engine rumble really much, especially because there's a valve exhaust in the back, which is going to close or open one of the exhausts to make it quieter. And I believe that's pretty much it for stuff like that. But we are going to switch over to talking about the exterior and interior with Krish. All right, buddy. First impressions of the RS7. How do you feel?
I think it looks great.
I honestly really love this design.
Yeah, I personally feel that it looks near timeless, dare I say.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Like for a modern Audi, I think this is the best they've ever done so far.
Yeah. Like, I don't think this will age poorly at all.
Not at all.
All the lines, like, Audis have a habit of aging gracefully. They age like fine wine,
Especially the last generation. 100%.
Oh yeah, the C7, right?
Yeah.
And I actually, talking about the C7, nice segue there. I thought, and I personally still feel that the C7 is a better looking generation just because it's a bit more subtle. It's a bit more older generation, or the older ethos of what Audi RS cars used to be, where they used to be like understated, not trying to show anything, and you don't know what you're up against till you're at a light and you're getting beat by it. And I think this sort of takes away from that, but I personally still feel that, you know what, it looks great and it definitely matches the sort of price tag that it comes with. And I really actually did want to talk about the paint. The paint
Oh,
is
it's called what?
gorgeous.
Sebring Black Crystal Effect. Yeah.
Yeah, Serum Black Crystal. It's a mouthful.
But I
But
honestly really like this color. Like at this light right now, it looks purplish, bluish kind of thing. But at night, it's just pure black. So it kind of works in that stealthy kind of thing that you were mentioning with this last
yeah,
generation.
and I personally feel that, like, you know, they've made the grill wider, they made it a lot more aggressive,
Hmm.
and I think that, you know, again, in some colors it doesn't look the best. Some, then especially in this color, it looks beautiful. Like,
Hmm.
it's subtle, it works. You have the carbon mirror caps, and everything is just,
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
that
You have the,
actually came with the carbon optics. So
yep,
there's a lot more carbon stuff in the front as well.
yeah, especially the
Uh,
splitter. That's that's
oh
gorgeous.
yeah,
That's cool.
nice accenting, right?
Yeah,
It's just really subtle. Once you walk up to it, it's yeah, you can obviously tell it's carbon,
yeah,
but
and actually, you know, I really want to talk about the lighting.
they
Audi
have both. Yeah,
has the best lighting. I am, like, I'm putting
yeah.
everything on the line when I'm saying this. Audi has the best lighting when it comes to the car industry, and
Yep.
again, I'm willing to die on that hill
So
because yeah,
these are actually the standard. Like these
mhm,
came standard as the Matrix LEDs,
yeah,
which is these ones.
hmm,
Has like sequential turn signals, can blank like beams and stuff if there's someone coming. Um, does light sequence and everything when you start the car up.
yeah,
You know, it's just an Audi lighting kind of thing as usual.
and I think it's great. It definitely adds to the drama of the
Yeah.
car because, you know, on the internet I hear it so many times. Like, Audis are seen as slightly boring, a bit clinical in the way
Mm.
that they're done. Like, there's, you know, not much passion behind it. But I digress, and I think that if you want to find passion in this car, you can find it very easily.
In my
There's,
opinion, this car is really just unique. It's
it's,
not
yeah,
clinically, stuff like that. It's not.
yeah,
It's just really unique in its kind of segment,
yeah,
compared to like the E class or 5 Series, right?
yeah. And the E-Class has sort of become blobby, at least with the newer
I'd
generations.
agree,
It's,
yeah.
yeah, lost that sort of like elegance that it had. 5 Series, I would have said, was probably the most beautiful car in this segment, but after seeing the new one, I don't think
It's
so anymore. It's a bit SUVified, but
yep,
again, I think that this, for what it is beautiful. And honestly, if you just care about looks, I don't think you should really be even continuing on with the video. You should just stop here and get one if you're
yeah.
considering it. But moving on,
Yep.
actually.
Actually, the rims.
Hmm.
That's a big part of the car, right? Rim design changes everything almost.
Yeah,
So actually, this is a dual tone that comes with the carbon or black optics package.
yeah, for sure. And I'm not normally a fan of diamond cut rims, but like the way that the chrome really works with this sort of like waffle iron type pattern that you have with the
Yes.
rim, it's distinctly Audi. You're not mistaking this rim for anything from any other brand,
Nope.
and I definitely, you know, associate it with it.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. They're massive rims, by the way. Just
They
to
are
mention that,
massive. Yeah,
massive rims, massive brakes. You
I
know,
believe they're 21 inches, right?
I think they're 22. Let's figure that out
22.
actually.
A few moments later.
And there we go. It's a 22 inch.
22 inch. Yeah, my bad.
These are rubber bands. We can't. The text is extremely small.
Yeah, and those are like near Escalade sized rims
Yeah.
on a sedan, which again, in pictures doesn't look that great. In person, I personally think I wouldn't have it in any other size.
No.
Does compromise ride quality a little bit. You
Yep.
can feel some undulations and little bumps, but
Hmm.
it's an RS7.
It's a
not an
performance car.
S-Class. You know
Yeah.
what you're getting. You know what you're buying. It is what it is.
Basically. If
Right?
you want something that's better suited for luxury, A7, S7.
Yeah.
This is definitely not it.
This is an RS car.
But if we move on to the side profile, there's
Yeah.
again the carbon effect in the bottom with the carbon optics package.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's talk about the back.
Let's talk about the rear.
Yep,
Yeah.
let's come. And yeah, just the same as the back, it still looks amazing.
It's gorgeous. I think, again, remember when I said that a lot of people think Audis don't really have that sort of passion, and everyone thinks it's all just about clinical speed and nothing
Mhm.
else. I really disagree. This is beautiful. I personally love the way the light bar comes, you know, across, like, you know, it stretches, I basically
They still look
across the rear.
very wide.
Yeah,
You know?
it looks very wide. It looks stance. You have this like nice, the way the fenders roll out,
Yes.
and it's
the
gorgeous.
haunches, they're
Yeah.
wide as hell. Suits
And-
the car like this, honestly.
yeah, and I've said this so many times. You have like this active arrow over here. You have a wing that pops up, and then this RS exhaust
These things are
massive.
bazookas.
They're basically cannons on the back. They sound like cannons.
With this,
It's, again, I don't know how many times I said gorgeous, so I'll probably throw up a counter. It is beautiful.
you notice the carbon too?
Yeah, and you have like this
Oh,
carbon
vents.
rear diffuser. And are these real?
Yeah, that's real.
Oh no, these are not.
Oh, no. The vents, no.
Audi,
Ooh,
please.
okay.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine.
That's
You know,
the marks taken off,
there's-
unfortunately, but
there's
yeah.
enough real stuff on this car where you don't even notice it. It's
I
okay.
can forgive it with the carbon,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
This, I will be killed for saying this, but this kind of reminds me of, you know, when the Honda Civic for a little while
Oh,
had those fake like
the FK8
hexagon,
generation
the
ones.
FK8. Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of.
We know someone's not going to be happy about that.
Yeah. It's, yeah, again, it's pretty sacrilegious for me to make that comparison, but I guess you do understand where I'm coming from.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
it's fake vents. You can't really
not
excuse
something you'd
that.
want on a $170-something thousand car.
Yeah.
But it's fine. You can forgive it for the mistakes because this car does so many things right. You forget about it. You forgive it.
The pros basically outweigh the cons in our books. All right.
And, yeah, perfect.
Into the interior?
Into the interior.
Let's go. Can't forget. Soft close.
Right. Okay. Yeah, my bad.
There we go. Soft close.
Yeah. Again, I think it's probably just because it's very sporty in nature.
You did not expect it, did you?
Forgot about the fact that it might have soft close. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like an S-Class or like, you know, even a normal A7, right? It just feels super sporty from the outside and when you're driving it too. But on the inside, this is less RS and more Audi.
It's a different car.
Feels like a different car.
Yeah. The interior in general, it looks great.
It's Audi build quality.
Very modern. Doesn't creak. The dash doesn't creak.
Yeah.
That's a good part.
Very minimal. Again, this is expected. Like
Yeah.
if you've ever been in a Mercedes,
It's really bad.
this would sound like an old man's joints.
But
So-
just one critique.
Yeah.
It's just there's an excessive amount of piano black.
Yeah. Fingerprints get everywhere.
Yeah. But
And
it's not the worst.
yeah,
I've
you
seen.
basically have to keep a microfiber cloth with you.
It's
So
not the worst I've seen.
that's
though.
fine.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I just want to get this out of the way. But basically, the infotainment, the climate control.
Yep.
Normally, a lot of people complain that they're all putting to screens.
Mhm.
This, that. This has its own screen, and I think this is perfect. No lag.
It's really
You
designed
click
well.
on it, and you get haptic feedback. It feels like a real button.
You have to push in. Like
Yeah.
I think people rarely mention this, but you have to. Like, it's pressure sensitive.
Yeah,
You have
you
to
can't
push
just
in.
you can't just do this.
You can't just tap. You have to push it in.
You know the iPhone 8 or like the
Yes.
7, I believe, when they
The
had
old
that
fake home button.
the old fake home button.
Yeah.
It was controversial at the time because like, why would you remove a real button,
Yeah.
right? But it felt like a real button to the point where you don't even really notice
People
it.
didn't even notice it.
You don't notice it.
No one
I
knew.
never noticed it.
But this feels the same as that. If you've ever tried it before.
And the UI, it's great. Super responsive.
That-
It's Audi. The virtual cockpit, black levels are perfect. I can see everything. I can read everything. The way the wheel is designed, I can see the gauge and everything, even when I'm turning.
Personally, I just wouldn't pick the Alcantara wheel.
Yeah.
That's gonna wear out. But
It gets
to each their own.
disgusting
Your
after
choice.
a while because all the oil from your hands and everything gets stuck all over the wheel. I think leather would be a better option.
so there's an option for perforated leather. So
Yeah,
I would pick that.
go
but
for that.
Your choice.
Seriously,
It's
go
your
for that.
choice.
Yeah. Although Alcantara headliner, and then
Go
you
for it.
have this sort of
Headliner,
like
yes.
mesh for the
Sunroof.
It's
I
cool.
would
It's
say
nice.
yes, Alcantara headliner. That's fine. Steering wheel, stay away from it. The ambient lighting in this, it might not. There might not be as much that you can do like Mercedes or BMW.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, right, ambient lighting should be something that's simple,
Mhm.
yet still looks good. And I think this does it pretty well. It's not overboard like the Mercedes, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna put blue on the dash and yellow on my door sill.
I guess the best way to describe the ambient lighting or the lighting in this car, period, is in a Mercedes or in a BMW, it's more like a sort of, hotel, like a luxury hotel,
Yes.
right? Where it's like all like, like best grits and glamour, and it's
Mhm.
all like form over, like, it's form
Yes.
and like over substance, really. And the door cards, actually, can we mention the door cards?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
carbon fiber, this metallic trim.
Yeah, and then you have like
red
aluminium,
leather.
and then you have like leather, and then you have aluminium switches. And
Alcantara, by the way.
Alcantara,
Over there.
Alcantara door pocket base, not door pocket, door card.
Audi with their door cards, man.
Yeah, it is. Can we talk
And
about
the seats.
the seats? I was about to say
was
the
gonna
seats.
say.
It's so perfectly bolstered.
These bolsters
Don't
are
move around, and I'm a
massive.
big guy, as you can see, and I have plenty of room to
Yeah.
move around. So
Check the car, you're fine.
yeah, You chuck the car into a corner, you're great actually. You're smooth sailing.
And I just love the stitching, man.
The
stitching
stitching.
is nice.
It's very Lamborghini in the way where like the hexagons.
No, you know what? It reminds me of the grill.
Oh yes, that too.
The little pieces.
Yeah,
of
I was
hexagons
pulling
at
the
grill.
I was pulling the hexagon thing from Lamborghinis because Lamborghini makes like their hexagon the whole thing. It's like in their starter buttons and all over the place. So that's what I was thinking. And I guess it trickles down, right? VAG group.
Yep.
And I think those are great additions. It feels so comfortable. I think this is like one of the nicest German seats that I've been in. Again, sat in a 540i recently. It felt firm. It felt like it is a watered down M car if you think about it. But it felt like an M car before a 5 Series. This feels more A7 before RS7, if that makes sense. They prioritize your comfort more than they did because not many people really track these cars in the first place, and I don't want this car to beat me up all the time. If I wanted a sports car, I would get a sports car. I would get an R8. I would get...
Most of the time, if you own this RS7, you already have like a sports car with it.
Exactly. You have $170,000 and you're telling me that you bought an RS7 as your sports car and your daily?
It could work, but I mean,
no,
it wouldn't be the case. Rarely.
I think this is more of a making your daily commute to work or making your daily commute to your business or your 10 bank offices
more fun,
more comfortable, more fun. It's a Autobahn killer. Like, we drove this car, like, beyond the gas for, like, 5 seconds on the highway. You're at speeds I probably shouldn't be mentioning.
Yeah.
So,
and, yeah, let's just talk about the back seats for a bit.
Yeah, let's go to the back.
Yeah, let's go to the back.
All right. In the rear we go. Have to remember soft close. So, it is actually really nice in the back, and I just want to get a couple of complaints out of the way. So, first of all, I guess it does feel really claustrophobic in the back. I don't really have much headroom, if any. So I'm standing around 5'10". So if you're on 6 feet tall and above, you're gonna have a little trouble getting in the back or feeling comfortable in the back of this car. You have nice controls, really logical. You got to click every time you touch them. Unfortunately, you don't really have the haptic feedback that you do in the front. But again, it's perfectly fine. It's really easy to get along with. You understand it. Black levels are perfect. Quality is perfect. It's super responsive. It feels like a touchscreen almost. All right, time for me to drive the Audi RS7, 2023 Audi RS7. So again, as Ryan ran down, 591 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. Not quite there with its competition, which is all above 600 horsepower, but Audi likes to underrate their power figures, and that they're quite infamous for doing that. So realistically, I'm going to just assume 600 horsepower. It definitely feels more than that, especially during its launch control, because this thing loves to, it's Audi launch control. It likes to overcompensate with it, and it feels incredible. Actually, you know what? Just for fun. Wow. Yeah, this thing is phenomenal in terms of speed. I don't know if you can see it off of my face and the sheer amount of shock I just had when I accelerated, but this thing drives and handles like nothing I've driven. Sure, the M5 is super direct, super weighted in the corners, super sporty, feels magnificent to drive. The E63 is very similar in that sort of way, but the Audi is something else. The amount of precision in the steering, there isn't much feel, there isn't much road feel that you get from the car. It's very you have good weight. You can actually feel the weight coming around in the corners, so it's communicating to me in that sort of way. But it's very numb, but it's very precise. It's, again, as I said, it's near clinical in the way it drives, and I just can't put it into words as to how perfect this car feels for me. It doesn't feel like a almost 4,900 pound car, and that weighs as much as a full-size SUV almost. But for some reason, it drives and it feels as nimble as an A3 or an RS3, dare I say. So just gonna go over bumps. Ouch. So, but yeah, it's really well damped actually. A lot of cars I've driven, especially the 5 Series, when you go over a bump like that, you'll feel it twice almost. This, you feel the bump once. It's very well sprung. They've matched the springs to the damper very well. And again, I'm just feeling all of that while I drive through this car. So I'm going to drop this into dynamic. going to put into RS1. So it's going to be very choppy in the way it drives, you know, say goodbye to comfortable and seamless, driving. And the suspension gets very firm, very stiff. It's not undrivable stiff, oh wow, but it doesn't, yeah, it's not undrivable stiff. It still feels very well damped and relatively comfortable, although it will beat you up and you'll feel every little bump and undulation on the road. But I mean, it's an RS car, right? You know exactly what you're getting into when you buy one of these. You know, if you want a comfortable and a, like, you know, like Drinks Club luxury type of experience, you get an S-Class. This is for pure highway killing, Autobahn killing, and cruising at high speeds, not just comfortably, but with a lot of engagement. And I feel like a lot of people online like to say, oh, the Audi's the boring one, or the Audi is like, you know, it's numb in steering and stuff like that. And I admit, you know, it doesn't feel, you don't feel that much through the steering, but this is anything but boring. I personally think this is probably one of my top 5 favorite cars of all time. I'm into older cars, classics, you know, stuff from the 90s and stuff like that. But this is something, it's near intoxicating in all honesty. And as Ryan said, you know, everything is focused towards you. It's, you know, you can see everything, you can feel everything on the road, and it's again super communicative. The suspension's pretty communicative instead of the steering. And again, as he was saying, you know, everything's focused towards you. You know where everything is, so you're not really distracted, and not everything's in a screen, so you don't have to like look through the menu, you know, when you're switching around stuff, right? So I'm going to see if I can get this on a more open road, so we could, you know, go on legal speeds. So I guess, you know, check how this car feels, you know, when it's up there, when you're basically pushing the limits, right? All right, it's time to see what this thing can really do. So I'm gonna again keep it in dynamic. It's basically readying itself up. So basically what Audi's done is, you know, with their 4-liter V8, they've put in a hot V sort of configuration where the turbos sit in the middle of the cylinder. Sorry, not the cylinder, but the cylinder banks. And what that does is it basically gives a boost nearly on demand. So say goodbye to turbo lag. This thing is just, if not more responsive than any naturally aspirated engine out there on the market right now. And all right, just trying to wait for, you know, me to get a open road, you know, just again stretch its legs, see what we can really do here. And I just have to say, on the highway, even in dynamic mode, this is comfortable. It's, you know, there aren't many harsh bumps, not many undulations, as I'm saying. It is a bit like, you know, touchy on the throttle, but again, that is to be expected. I mean, you know, again, it's an RS car, so, you know, that sin's been forgiven for sure. And right now we're cruising at about 110 comfortably, and I'm going to be going 110 now. So we're still going 110, of course. Still going 110. And yeah, it feels great. Super calm while it's accelerating. It's very violent, but the suspension and the way it does it so quietly, so comfortably, and the power is right there. So again, doing completely legal speeds, following, you know, the speed limit in Ontario. Perfect. This car feels near perfect to me. And honestly, like, again, I know I'm constantly repeating myself, but it just sounds like pure cannon fire when you're just accelerating. You know, it's, I don't know how I feel. It's like I have, you know, a sort of like Mongolian throat singer in the back as my exhaust. Like the way it sounds, it's so guttural, so visceral. It sounds like almost a wild animal in the way it drives. And like, I just, you know, again, this weighting is like, it weights up so well at higher speeds. You can feel everything when, you know, when you're driving. And again, it is numb. You don't really feel that much, but I think that's a good thing, because at 100 kilometers an hour, I don't want to be feeling little bumps on the road and little things on the highway, because they're not exactly the best paved. And I don't want to feel like every little jitter in my hands, right? Again, that's, if you want something like that, don't get an Audi, don't get an RS7 in the first place. You're not really looking for a luxury car, are you then, right? Because this is supposed to do what luxury cars are meant to do the best. And that is provide you the best of all worlds. It's supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to kill miles. It's supposed to do legal speeds on the 420, whatever, and do it without complaining. It's supposed to do all of this perfectly. And this car, I cannot stress this enough, does it without ever complaining. It just again, if you saw, it just rocketed. And it's like the damping and stuff, that's a really bumpy road, and doing it at those speeds is it's normally in most cars, especially my car, it would be knocking you. I'd be getting air. This thing stays flat and planted. And I wanted to actually mention, I was taking a couple turns, and while I was driving down here, this does not understeer like people say Audis do. And the reason why is people, when they drive an Audi, when they're using an quattro system, you're supposed to push the car to engage the diffs. A lot of people forget that and refuse to engage the diffs, and they just drive and they plant themselves straight into a wall. So there's a way of finessing the quattro all-wheel drive system and how it's supposed to work, how to get the car to rotate, which a lot of people don't really know how to do or have not figured out yet. And once you do, it is probably one of the most rewarding drives, honestly, ever. And I think I would personally take this over an M5 for livability and daily drivability, just because it doesn't kick me around and it doesn't bash my face into concrete every time I put it into a sort of hot mode, or the M mode. Basically, when I'm in the M mode in the M5, it doesn't push me around, it doesn't kick me in my face when I'm doing that stuff. And again, I'm willing to die on this hill, where this car is just such a perfect mixture of everything, and I just can't get over how nice this feels. There are 2 points I will knock away from this. First, the paddle shifters. They could have done better. They're a bit plasticky feeling. They feel like they came off of a base model A3. Do better. $170,000, not the amount of money you should be paying for these sorts of paddle shifters. So I think it really does take away from the experience. Luckily, the owner of this car has installed extensions to this, which do make it feel quite a bit better, but it's still lacking. It should not have that sort of thing in the first place. And I know the Audi R8 has that exact same issue, which just, it takes away from the experience of the car. But all in all, I think I've pretty much made my point pretty clear and across, and I think we should be heading to our summary now with Ryan.
So in conclusion, who is this car for? It's clearly made to be a mix of a performance car and also a practical luxury sedan all in one package. From this, we simplified this into a scenario. Imagine if you want 2 different cars, but for example, your significant other said you can only have one. Then this is basically the best compromise you can make from that. And can't forget to thank Zark for lending us his RS7 for the day. This video couldn't have been done without his help. His Instagram will be in the description below. And of course, do let us know if you enjoyed what you saw by posting in the comments, and do subscribe to see more content on this channel. Thanks for watching, and see you around. Oh yeah, we're even going, so. On? Gummies are so good. So sharing is caring.